Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 51 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PSVR2. A show for those who want to share in our massive love for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, and I'm here to let you know that we are part of the Cross Players. So, if you like what you hear, check out links to all of our stuff in the description for this very episode. And if you're already watching us on YouTube, do remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and all that kind of stuff. Now, it is an honor to be joined by two of the most adventurous influencers in the metaverse. Oh, wait, no, hold on. It's Reese and Alex. Reese, hello.
Hello.
What have you done? What have you done with Ben? You've tied him up and bundled him into a.
He's trying to break out of this cupboard, but I've locked it. So we'll just hear some banging. You know what it is.
There we are. He's got me, the bastard.
He likes it in the cupboard.
Good
In the closet. Now, Alex, I can't, audio listeners, I'm going to have to describe to you the fact that Alex has got one eye that is completely puffy and swollen shut, like he's been, I don't know, you've been stung by a bee in the eye or something.
Oh,
What
no.
have you done?
Basically, what happened is Reese tried to take me out first, and I kind of survived, and then he got to Ben. So this is what happened first, and then
They're busy.
he managed to succeed with Ben, whereas I'm just struggling through, like, not being able to see properly. But I mean,
Yeah, it was a complete waste of a plane ticket to Scotland for that.
Nice. Well, thank you, Reese, for joining us. We asked you to come on because we have got a big game to be talking about, big release to be talking about today, and not a Ben game. He's not played it, so we binned him off for the week. He's got better things to be doing, and we've got you on instead as our expert that's also played this game. So the three of us have all been playing.
Expert.
Well, yeah, you've had a good go on it. But are you well though, Reese? Have you been well? How you been keeping since last time we saw you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah. Still a bit sour about that quiz, but you know, it's what it is.
Oh, well, I've kind of blanked that quiz out from my memory.
I've tried to, but every time I see Phil message, it just comes back. So yeah.
but you've been researching the gestational periods of many animals since then, though, haven't you?
Oh my god!
I've been getting the missus to quiz me on all different ones, like little quiz cards, and she just throws out at me. So yeah, it's going well.
Next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the Ben quiz as well, and it won't be long. I'm sure we'll have another bullshit quiz coming soon. But before then, let's jump into our main topic this week. We're just going to go straight into a big old review impressions discussion about Legendary Tales. Now, this is a game we saw revealed to a port coming to PSVR 2 not that long ago, just in the state of play, and it was out a week later. We've all been playing it. What do we think?
It's big.
But,
It's big.
It's a big one. It's
meaty. Let's put it that way. It's a meaty game.
It's a chunky game. Yeah. Everyone complaining about all these kind of 2-3 hour experiences.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not getting that with this.
No, definitely not.
I think if we go back to last week from probably what I was saying about this game and what it looked like and the impressions it was giving me, I very much thought this was going to be a Dungeons of Eternity type game. It's not. It is absolutely not. It's the closest thing it is to Dungeons of Eternity is it's co-op, but I mean I've seen some other reviews and some other people describe it, and I think it's almost the best way I would put it is a Souls-like. It's not a Souls-like because it's not quite got that same difficulty as a Souls game, but it's that kind of gameplay look.
You say that, not yet. I mean,
I'm not one to I'm not one to set the bar on these kind of things. Like I struggle with any sort of physical combat.
So it reminds me of Dark Souls in its obtuse design, and I mean that not in a bad way. In that it doesn't tell you all the things you need to know. You kind of have to work it out and just almost kind of try out an error and just work things out. And it doesn't. It kind of almost takes pride in how little hand-holding it gives you. And there is a tutorial, to be fair to it, which is kind of a VR mechanics tutorial, but there's still so much in the game that you have to work out for yourself. And there's no, like when you get a quest, it doesn't point to you. There's no way markers or anything.
No mini-map or anything. Yeah,
no maps or anything. No pointing a compass even to show you which direction to walk in. You just get told, you need to go find someone. He's in this village or this. He's in this old cemetery or whatever it is, and then you just gotta go look for him. It's like Jesus Christ,
wander around anywhere, basically until you find it. It's very, It's very much that. When you said Souls, like the style as well, the art style, it's very gothic. Like the first thing I loaded into, not the tutorial, because the tutorial was quite bright. But when you go into the main game, the look just with the moon just glaring down at you, and everything's quite dark. It gave me that very gothic, Dark Souls feel.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
you've got
it's
old
really nice.
sort of abandoned castles and I think even if you look at like the game's icon and its kind of promotional image, that's just surely that's evoking Dark Souls. That's intentional, right? You've got the knight there in the armor facing
Reminds me of the
kind of
Mortal
fields.
Kombat, not Mortal Kombat, Mortal Shell, which is another similar Souls-like game. It reminds me of the cover art of Mortal Shell because that has a knight and it just stands like that with the blade, and so it just reminds you of that.
But it's even then to the bonfires as well. Like obviously the bonfires in Dark Souls are your save points, whereas the bonfires are not save points, but they do restore your health if you sit and like hold your hands over them, or you can cook your meat in them to eat to restore your health and stuff. So the bonfires play that big point in the same way as like they do in the Dark Souls game, and the combat, although in a completely different way that you're attacking it, is that kind of combat and skill tree, and
you got to think about it. You can't just rush in.
It is sort of methodical, slow combat, and that's probably my favourite thing. And I should point out, I'm not a Soul. I'm an anti-Souls gamer. I do not like those games at all. I've tried playing a few times. One day I will try getting into Bloodborne because everyone. Not Bloodborne. I've tried Bloodborne. It's never happening. Tried that a few times. It's never going to happen. Elden Ring. I want to get it. I want to get what it's about. I will try it, but not yet. But saying that, this game, the favourite thing that I absolutely love about it is the combat. I really love how meaty and fun it is, and I'm playing it with a sword and shield, and I just love that you can kind of use the shield in a really kind of chunky way. You can sort of almost like punch enemies with the back of your shield and really like whack them and stagger them. But it's just, you come up to a skeleton, it swipes you. It's quite slow, the combat, but that's kind of nice because it gives you the chance. You say, okay, I can see what direction it's coming from. I can raise my shield up, parry or block that attack, and then it leaves the skeleton or the enemy or the villager or whatever it's open for an attack. And that's just a really satisfying. You take the hit, then you whack them on the counter attack. It's just very, very methodical. I like it. I also like the fact you can't slash away in the same attack because the damage goes down each time you do it. So if you vary your attacks, so you go for a thrust and a swipe and a slash and whatever it is, then you keep getting extra bonus. But if you just keep going whack, you'll just eventually start doing like minimal damage very quickly.
Which is how we play Dungeons of Eternity. It's just whack.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't work at first. We just died straight away. It makes sense now.
Yeah. I would say that playing it, so a lot of reviews out there today that dropped have been very, very positive. There's people who obviously really, really pleased with this game, and I'm very happy for that. People listening need to take into kind of account that this is not my sort of natural game. So if you're a huge Souls fan, then maybe don't listen to what I say. But if you're not a Souls fan, you're thinking, well, maybe I'd like to give this a go because it's a VR thing. Maybe I like it. Then that's probably where this this review is going to be more of interest to you. I think if you're a massive Souls fan, then you probably don't really care what we've got to say about this one. But if you're not naturally that sort of gamer and you're curious to how us non-Souls fans, I suppose that's probably what our take on it is more interesting for. And yeah, I found it when we first started playing it. There was a lot of kind of bugs and issues with it, just kind of technical issues. And I hope there's been patches all because we started playing it a few days ago, and every time I've logged into my PS5, there's been new updates uploading and installing and stuff for it. And so I hope they're updating it. They seem to be very proactive, dropping daily patches almost. So that's great. But there was a lot of things like kind of, I mean. Like you have to interact with things to start a quest, and even at the very start of the game, it wasn't that it's been obtuse. I just could not work out. It felt too fiddly to think. How do I? There's a goblin stuck in a cage at the start of it, and I was like, what do I do? How do I interact with the goblin to start what I need to do? And it doesn't really tell you what to do, and I don't feel like that's not just being kind of tough on you design. That's just design, and I think it's just the UI. The UI is broken in a way, and
there's no prompt or anything, is there, to kind of tell you what to do? I think that's what we're so used to as well in games, is that prompt to say press X or press this button.
Yeah,
there's nothing like that.
And I was like, almost going to come out of the headset and just sort of message one of you guys, like, what do I do with this? Because I couldn't work out how to progress it. And I was just like 5 minutes. I was looking around the whole area. So is there something else I've missed here? And eventually I worked out this kind of the right knack for how you have to hold your hand up and press X or trigger or whatever it is, and that makes a pop-up appear with where they hand out the quest and sort of list the quest that you can then kind of press the trigger on and accept it. And that's like, okay, now it's letting me break the cage door and stuff. But that was far too unpleasant experience.
I had the same issue.
Okay, that's good. It's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just you. No.
And to the exact same point, like the part straight after that, where you have to that's where you're finished the tutorial and you have to make a portal to get back to the camp.
Oh yeah.
And
5 minutes I was there.
Yeah, like it just doesn't tell you how you're supposed to do it. And essentially what you need to do is you need to assign the magic to both hands and then hold your hands together and pull it apart to open this portal. How you're supposed to know that?
I was trying to grab the portal from my hand with the other hand. I was trying to go like this the whole time. I was like, what is going on here? Why isn't this working out? And I thought, okay, I'm misreading something. So I went for the whole guide thing that you can find in your little menu things. I went through all the guide, read through all of them. I was like, no, it's not telling me what to do. And I'm standing there. Okay, I'm just staggered of what to do here. And then I eventually put the portal in the other hand. I was like, oh, you kidding me? I've been doing this for 5 minutes and just nothing's been happening. I've been standing here, and I was not satisfied with that section at all.
Yeah. And then when playing the game, because I've got my sword and my shield. You want to do magic, but I don't know if there's a quicker way or if they'll patch in some sort of control shortcut. But to do magic, I think you have to put your sword back into your sort of storage thing and your shield if you want to do sort of two-handed magic, which you need to do if you want to do a portal. So you have to put them away. Then you have to click another menu to open the menu, select what spell you want, and there's like a different button to activate the spell than it was to do the other. It's just also like, who designed this? This is not intuitive at all. This is not. I don't like that. I don't like, and it was to the point where it's just like, I'm just not going to bother using magic because it's too much of a faff to put my stuff away. And it was like, if you're in a battle, if you're in combat, you just don't have the time to do that. So you think, I'm either going to go on.
I was going to say no, and I think to your point there, there's no switching really between magic and like sword and shield. I think you're either one or the other. Well, certainly not quickly if you want to switch. There's no, and I think it's probably a good time to mention like nothing in this game is quick.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the thing that immediately hit us is how slow this feeling. It does describe the game as a walking RPG. I think walking action RPG.
Yeah, a warp. I think it is.
It's exactly what it is. Like, there's no running, there's no fast pace. Like, you will feel at times, particularly when you need to get somewhere and you haven't got a portal or you can't travel to it. It feels slow, which isn't a bad thing, but it definitely takes a bit of adjusting.
I would say it is a bad thing because when me and you were playing it in co-op, we were like, I think I was looking for someone that I had to find in my quest. I think you'd done that quest before, so you was like, I think it's over here. So I went over there and it wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, well, it must be the opposite direction. It's like, for fuck's sake. So you have to sort of trek back the way we came and then go the other way. And it's like, this is so slow to just walk through. Just let me run. Why is there not trying to just push down the stick and run? It's just, or just teleport at least. Like, every VR game has a teleport that you can go a lot faster if you're teleporting across the map. So just like, there's just things like that. The design of this is just very not friendly, which again, if you love that Dark Souls thing, then maybe you don't mind that. You're used to that kind of that style of gameplay, and that's just part of the genre that I'm just not getting. In which case, fair enough, it's just not for me, and I didn't think that kind of thing would be. But if you're happy with that, then great, I suppose.
Yeah, because Dark Souls movement has always been really slow, so I think it's very reflective of that. But again, going back to the UI, I feel like every time I load up this game, I have to take 10 minutes to adjust to getting used to the UI again of what buttons to press and what, getting all my weapons sorted. 10 minutes at least every time to make sure I remember everything. And then, like you said, with the movement, walking to your next destination, when you've got the portals to go to the next areas, it does make it a little bit quicker. But then you've got that big area that's not a small dungeon-like area. It's quite a large area, and you're spending at least 30 minutes to an hour walking around that whole area. So it's... I wish the movement was just a little bit faster. I'm not saying completely sprinting it across the whole thing in seconds, but like an extra 10% of just speed, just because there is times with these big outside areas, or even the cave in the second area you go to. I just felt like we was walking through that cave for at least an hour, and I was like, and obviously with a cave, you're not taking anything in, you're not getting any scenery, you're just walking through a cave. So if you can imagine that, it's very slow. So it's just walking and attacking a few enemies, and we was like, yeah, this is it's a bit slow, this is, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, can't disagree with that.
No. But I mean, we're sounding like we're really negative in this, right?
No, definitely negative about the game.
But it's like we're not, because this game has promise, this game has potential, I think this game though, I know this is going into version 1 and this is like full 1.0 release. It doesn't feel to me like version 1. It still feels like early access to a certain extent. I can see it have been in early access, and I don't know what it was like 3 years ago in Steam. But it doesn't feel like the polished version of a version 1.0 release. If you think, and I'm not comparing this to Baldur's Gate at all, but if you think that had been in early access and it came out and it hit the ground running in version 1.0 with everything that had come up to this, whereas it feels like a lot of the things that we've seen them fix this week, if they had been in the early access version in Steam, why were they not picked up a hell of a long time ago?
It's a valid point.
But on the other side of the coin, like, people are going to love this. This is going to appeal to so many people. It's going to give you so much game.
So much content, such a big, chunky adventure. And like, to talk to the good side of it, yeah, when Alex, you and I were playing it together, you can see the other person you're adventuring with, you can see their whole body. So we were chatting to each other and I could see you there, and it was like you and I were going on an adventure together. And I was saying, this would be such a great game if you had a mate that you could just drop in once, set time each week, and you can just play an hour or two together, and just catch up, chat whilst you're doing it, do the adventuring. You would be going on a proper adventure with your mate, and it would be a lot of fun and very satisfying. And if you weren't in any kind of rush to complete it, you were just there for the journey and just enjoying, just spending time playing co-op with a friend. It's a lot of fun. And credit to the PSVR without parole guys who did a full, really deep dive, really in-depth review of it, and they've absolutely loved it. I think they gave it like 9.7 out of 10. So those guys loved it, and they've played it. I think I haven't played it for 40 hours or 80 hours even. Like, it's just
a lot.
Like, how have you
played it for a lot? Yeah.
How have you played it that much? That is amazing.
Because we ended up playing it with Miles from Pro.
He dropped in a couple of times.
We dropped in a couple of times, and he was very good at explaining stuff to us. And that's where this game kind of reminded me of Elden Ring. Because when I first played Elden Ring, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. Like, I'm just wandering around, like, what the hell am I doing here? And then until, like, I sat and Ben screen shared stuff with me and showed me bits of what we were doing in Elden Ring, and then it all started clicking. It was the same here, like, when Miles came in to kind of share what he'd learned, what he had to do, and, like, having someone to tell you those bits, and it all starts to make a bit more sense. And then it's then as all that added up and you started to work out the ability trees, the skill trees, all those different things, and piecing it all together, you're like, oh, like, there's so much here and so much to explore and enjoy.
And I love that. I do. I think that's really nice to have someone kind of hold your hand and sort of give you that leg up and stuff. It's a kind of really old school way of playing video games, isn't it? Having like a mate in the playground telling you what to do, or someone come around your house and show you. And the same as then when I then joined you and you'd had that bit more experience, you could tell me some simple things, and you told me how the portal works and it takes you back to the village and how it all works in practice and stuff. And I think you really do help. It does help having an experienced adventurer who can just kind of get you over all of those initial kind of shortcuts and how things work, and just how you do things and stuff, just how you do things in practice, and just kind of working out the ways to do stuff. And I think you shouldn't need that, but maybe that's nice that it does, and this kind of just is a thing with the genre, I guess. And I think like those guys who are playing it for kind of like 40 hours, obviously they've probably forgot those first few hours and they find everything fiddly and stuff, and they're probably just like absolutely loving it because it's all clicked by that point. And I think if you're willing to commit this and you want to spend all that time in it, I can see absolutely where they're coming from. It's like all of the elements will click into place. You would have leveled up. You'll be quite powerful. You probably whatever combination of sword and magic and thing you'll have settled into, so you won't want to keep fiddling between them and stuff. So you'll have got your build, and maybe like if they put out some kind of let's play or footage and stuff, it'd be interesting to watch their style and how they approach playing it and stuff. And it's probably even that would just be like, okay, now I see what the how I should be tackling this. So I do think there is a really solid foundation here, and there's a few things they can do to make it more appealing for me. But it's like when they say, don't you dare ever put an easy mode into Bloodborne. That's what I'd like, but they're never going to do that, and I just accept that that's not a game for me, therefore. So maybe the stuff that I want them to do to this game shouldn't be in there, because that's not how these things work, really, and it's just not one for me. But I think if you are someone that is also quite not really into those sort of Souls-like games, then I would be wary about spending kind of the £40 or £50, whatever it's going to end up costing. It's quite a chunky, expensive game.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you understand what you're buying into here, and if you're willing to commit and put the time in that you need to get good.
Yeah, I think it's quite fair as well. I think it's being said, because, like Alex said with the initial trailer, both of us said, "Oh, let's give this Dungeons of Eternity vibes." That smaller dungeon game, and then when you play it, you're not going to get that. That's completely different. So I think it's fair with everything that you're saying in the sense of the slow movement. I think that does definitely need to be mentioned. And the overall just not being able to learn things as easy as you think there would. There's not really many on-screen prompts. So if you're someone that likes to have your hand held, I don't think it's going to be a game for you. And I'm not saying you won't enjoy it, but I don't think you're gonna. I think you're gonna struggle to progress because there's no hand holding. Even the simple things like Miles showed me how to craft a weapon on the smelting bench with making your whole weapon, getting the iron bar and hammering it down, which I will say is probably one of the best feelings I've had in a VR game in a long time. It just felt amazing to do, like crafting this weapon and having it in my hand. Like, I've made this. This is mine. I've now named it. It was such a stupid feeling, but at the same time, it was such a VR feeling that you won't get from any other game. But at the same time, I feel like that should have been described quite early on in the game, because I think that's one of them early moments that you should have, not further on. So he kind of just went, "Oh, come over here, man. I'll show you how to make a weapon." So he kind of just showed me before the quest would pop up to show you. But I think that feeling alone from that game, I was like, yeah, I see this now. I now get this.
And probably the other thing worth mentioning is don't go in expecting this to look like a modern AAA, not AAA, even AA game. It doesn't. Like, the graphics of the game are maybe not what you're in there expecting. They're crisp, it runs well, it runs at a steady frame rate, like all of that side of things, really good. But
there's a lot of popping, I noticed, playing. Like, enemies will pop in as you walk in.
Doesn't really, like, but it doesn't. There's no frame rate stuttering, which is the main thing.
No,
yeah.
But what I was going to say is, like, there's text, like some of the textures are ropey. Yeah. There is some, but like it runs fine. But don't be expecting like this highly polished view, because it's not what you're getting. You're getting a more polished experience than more polished presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Like the blacksmith quest giver guy, like his face model and stuff is like PS3 style kind of graphics.
And you then come along,
got a very blank look on his face, doesn't it?
yeah, sort of dead eyes.
Yeah.
But 5 people made this game. Was it 5?
I think 5 people.
I mean, that is amazing. Like, we always feel bad when I criticise a game when like 1 person or 5 people have made it. It's just like I could not come anywhere near. Like, this just blows my mind that 5 people could make something like this. So it feels a bit churlish to criticise that. But
and that wasn't me criticising graphics. I just think people might have more of an expectation from some of the things of what they said, and it's just don't. That's not what to expect here, and it's not what you should be looking for here. And my biggest tip would probably for the game is don't judge it in the first 1 or 2 hours. You're going to need to give this time, because you're going to find yourself in those first couple of hours, you're going to think this is really repetitive. You're going to die quite a bit. You're going to get a bit confused. And I think as it gets further on and you get to see like some of the things that we got to see the other night in terms of when you get to some of the boss battles and things like that, and it gets quite epic. The music kicks in, all these massive boss battles coming on, and you're going to love them. But
some of
it's
the boss
going to take
designs
time
as well
to get there.
So, yeah, I think Alex is on the ball there, because I think that's something we said before to each other, was the first 2 hours it's more after the tutorial. Then first 2 hours are also your tutorial. You've got to get used to not only the combat with the different enemy types, the movement, the magic, the UI, every weapon type. So you've got the swords, you've got the daggers, you've got your bow, you've got your magic wand. There's all these different type of weapons that you have to get adjusted to. So that first 2 hours, we did think this is quite slow, but it's slow for a reason. They don't overwhelm you too much with the quest side of stuff. There's a few quests, but the quest they give you is like how to make a potion, or how to buy a weapon, how to sell a weapon. They're tutorial quests. They're not actual quests. If you go save, the princess or whatever, I don't know if that's a quest, but it's
probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. But it's one of the things where the first 2 hours it does feel like more of a tutorial, which I think is why initially we were both like, this is really slow. But at the same time, the combat, every time you get into the combat, we're like, this is amazing. Like playing with Alex and just watching him kill a zombie and then pick up the zombie's hand and try and beat the zombie to death with his arm. I was in stitches at that because it was actually doing damage. So it was quite amusing to watch. So there was just moments like that it offered as well that was just multiplayer is the way to play this game. Definitely. It's fun solo, but multiplayer is definitely the way to go. It's such an open world, and other than the enemies, there's not really anything else around you. It feels empty in a sense. So having someone else walking along with you, it adds that element of you're not alone in this world, because there isn't many people to talk to in the game. The characters don't have voice actors. There's no voiceovers to it, so you're just reading dialogue. So it does feel like you're just kind of accepting a quest and then walking off on your own again. So without having people around you, you're constantly just walking this path on your own.
Yeah, that is weird, isn't it? When they just get a little pop-up put in front of them with their text they're saying just sort of comes up in front of them. It's just like, oh, really?
I'm glad they didn't go the AI voice route, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people are doing now, and sometimes it works fine, but it depends on the type of character they've made, it works. But the other time, it's like, I don't think it would have worked well for this game. But even if they had some just voice actors that even aren't experienced to the max, just something to kind of give them that little bit of, being, because it doesn't feel like there's anyone there with you. It just feels like I'm accepting
even some
questions.
sort of, I was going to say, even not necessarily voice acting, but even some sort of narration.
Yeah,
like
even
just something over the top.
Yeah, because it's quiet a lot of the time. A lot of the time you're just walking, and you get the music start, and the music is great. I'll give them that. The score to this game is
good shout. I was going to
really
mention
good.
That, yeah, the music
especially when you
nice.
get into the boss battles and things like that, and you hear, like Alex said, you hear that music kick, and you're like, "Whoa, I'm feeling this. I feel like I'm actually trying to fight for my life here." Which one of them boss battles we could not fight for our life at all. So they're difficult. So if you're up for a challenge, this game will give it to you, definitely.
Cool. Well, I'm not sure where we sort of sit on the do we recommend it or not. It's a complicated one, this, isn't it? I think if you're willing to, if you like this sort of games and you're willing to invest the time in, and you understand the kind of the shortcomings and are okay with those, then you'll absolutely love it. I think this will be, for some people, this will probably end up being their favourite game, and then other people who just will not gel with this sort of style of game, and it's not for them. So yeah, I think it's a real definitely read or listen to, watch a few different reviews, watch some gameplay, and just try and get a sense of
it's definitely not for
it's.
everyone. I think it's what I think I've summarised. It's not for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. I've played Swordsman, I've played Blades and Sorcery. Both of them offer a very similar experience, but they don't have that whole over-the-top quest thing. So it's definitely not going to be for everyone. But that's not saying it's a bad game, because it's not, because I'm having a lot of fun with it. And there is something that keeps wanting me to go back. And I think it is the levelling up and the exploration side of it. So there is a lot to it.
And it's great that the PSVR2's got a big, chunky, questy adventure like this as well.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
A story and, it's a good, deep game, which for people that want that experience.
There was a gap for it, and it fills that gap, and I think it does a good job of filling that gap.
Yeah,
and people,
100%.
as you say, not for everyone, but the people who do, the people who will like this game will love this game.
100%.
Marmite Tales. Cool. Right, well, thanks. That seemed like a pretty good in-depth discussion. If you guys do keep playing it more, maybe in a few months' time, we'd have to.
I'm probably going to jump in again after this, if I'm honest. I'm going to probably play it some more. So.
Yeah, it'll be good to see as the game evolves, and if they patch it and update it, and it'd be interesting to see how the game evolves over the coming weeks and months, and people spend more time with it if their love for it grows. Yeah. Cool. Well, maybe we'll revisit that one later. So let's move on to the news. And there's not been too much news this week. It's been quite quiet news this week. One thing I did see pop up on Twitter is that C-Smash VRS is coming to Quest on the 4th of April. So that's great news. I don't know if it's going to have cross-play with PSVR 2. Hopefully so.
Hopefully so.
It says so there's going to be initially cross leaderboards, things like that, but cross play is planned, but won't be there at launch. But they are.
Okay.
Oh, well. So obviously, I think
added.
some people have complained on PSVR2 that it can be hard to find people to play against, which is obviously not surprising. But yeah, I mean, it's great. With games like that, I mean, I don't think it's an issue. I don't mind. You know, people are like, I can't believe PSVR2 is losing one of its few exclusives. It's like, one, who cares? And two, like, let them make their money. They need to make their money on Quest. Every VR game needs to be on Quest. Like, it just does. Like, you're crazy to not be on there. So the fact that they
work really well on Quest as well. It would definitely.
Yeah,
work no wire. It's just.
Yeah, you're not
games like that work.
You can just choose the biggest space that you can find to play it in, and that's for me. That's my problem playing this game, is that I play in my living room and I don't have enough room to really jump for the ball. So quite a lot of things will go out of play just because I'm not going to go for that, because I know that my window's there, or I know that my light fitting's there, and if I swing for it, I'm going to maybe hit my light. So like I can't. I don't feel free when I'm playing it, and also the wire doesn't help as well because it's such a physical moving game. So yeah, I just think playing this at in a space where you can move around and not have to worry about smashing stuff would be absolutely awesome.
I mean, since it's so cool at the moment to wear your headset outside anyway, then I mean, this is the perfect game to take outside with you, isn't it? So as the nicer weather comes in, we just get into the garden, then just put pass-through on, we'll go to the shops, come back.
I wonder if they would do it on Apple Vision Pro, because it would be quite cool to have like a mixed or spatial version of this, I have to say. The idiots.
No,
but yeah, a mixed reality version of it where you could just
would work actually. That would be quite cool actually. I think.
Yeah, well, there would be the space thing, would it? Which is kind of the whole.
It would take the space thing away, but I'd like to see my wall just turn into the other player's area. I don't know. I just think that'd be quite cool.
I don't know.
Sometimes it's a gimmick, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Cool. So anyway, Sea Smash, good for them. Hope they sell loads of copies on Quest and they are very successful, because the game deserves success.
100% deserves it. Very good.
Next up is Barbaria, which, Alex, you're a big fan. Reese, you a big fan of this game? Of course you are.
Yep, love it.
It's getting a rogue-like update. Can any game truly be considered finished unless there's a roguelike mode?
I think in the moment, really, isn't it?
I don't think so. If you're a developer, you think, fuck it, we'll churn out a roguelike mode and people can play
very
it
in, isn't it, VR. Roguelikes and VR is just
or even not in VR, like Last of Us and God of War. It's like even big AAA games are getting them as well. It's just you've got to add a roguelike, because I suppose you think, well, we need people. They can't just finish a game and move on. No, we must keep them playing our game forever. It's like, guys, chill out.
2024's games as a service, isn't it?
Lots of there's like lots of games I need to play. But I mean, I don't mind when they're kind of optional add-on things where you can complete the campaign, and then people that really love this and we keep wanting to go forever, you've got your roguelike mode. And that's cool. Good for them. I am getting a bit kind of bored of just kind of roguelike stuff, especially in VR, because it is a bit of a kind of, I want you to curate and design something, not just let algorithm design levels for me, please. And it's fair enough. Like, once I've played through the stuff you've designed, if you then want to just give me infinite content, then I guess I'm okay with that as well. but roguelike stuff. It is what it is. It's very popular, and I can see why they do it. Yeah. But that's cool. Either of you, is this a free update? Is it? Do you know?
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh wow, generous guys. Final bit of news then is something that Reese, you just spotted just this evening. We saw dropped on Twitter. Ubisoft saying they are disappointed with Assassin's Creed Nexus's VR sales. Yves Guillemot said it did okay. It continues to sell. I'm not going to do this in a French accent. I thought about that for a minute, but I'm not going to do it.
Is it les millions?
I did okay, and we could. No, it's it continues to sell, but we thought it would sell more, and not increasing. Sorry, sorry, the French. I'll just do it normally. It did okay, and it continues to sell, but we thought it would sell more, so we are not increasing our investment on VR at the moment because it needs to take off. And you think, it's brutal for VR.
It's upsetting.
Like, I mean, I keep saying, don't release games as exclusives and then complain that they don't sell enough. Like, you could have put it everywhere, because, like, PSVR 2, PlayStation has had every Assassin's Creed game, and PlayStation gamers love Assassin's Creed. It's always one of the biggest selling games of the year, mainly on PlayStation. So to not release it on PlayStation and then complain when it doesn't sell, it's like, oh, fuck you. Like, come on, what did you expect? Like, you knew it wasn't going to sell as well, because the Quest audience is probably a more kind of casual audience, and Assassin's Creed is a more of a kind of hardcore gamers series. People play that, they are big, especially nowadays. They are big 100-hour open world adventures, so you've got to commit a lot. So they took the money from Meta to make it exclusive. Fair play to them. I have no idea how much it was, but I'm sure they made it worthwhile. So it just seems really churlish to then say, I didn't sell enough, so we're not going to make any more VR games. It's like, guys, come on, look, you didn't sell enough, but you got all that nice bag of cash from Meta, and they got that Zuckerberg money. So let's, now put it on PlayStation and see how it sells there, I guess.
Hopefully still decide to port it one day. I really hope.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll say what I think there.
No, you really went into it. And I think it's valid. I think it's a shame though for just VR in general to hear it. It's like another kick in the gut, really, isn't it? Just another thing that's not done well. Another AAA IP coming to VR, and then it's just not performed well on their standards. But again, it's what their standards of well is. Because as far as I was concerned, I heard a lot of people playing it. I thought it sold quite well from what we heard, but. Again, it's what they
maybe
want,
they were
isn't it?
unrealistic because they thought, it's Assassin's Creed, it's one of the biggest franchises in gaming, and it is, but not on Quest.
Not
it's just,
on
do
Quest,
they understand that audience? I don't know. And I think if and when they do bring it to PSVR 2, it will sell a lot there.
Definitely,
because
I think it'll work well.
The PSVR 2 people are crying out for stuff like this. But it's a meaty, chunky, proper gamers game. It's.
You'd imagine that the attach rate on PSVR 2 will be huge.
I think I'd play for it longer on PSVR 2. I played a bit of it on Quest, but again, it's one of them things where it's like you've got to consider your battery and all that kind of stuff. So I think if it would have came to PSVR 2, I probably would have played it in 4-hour sessions as opposed to an hour and a half. So there's that too to consider.
Also, part of the game for me, where I really want to play it, is that it's got the proper assassin. It's got
it's got the good ones.
Is it Connor? And it's got
Connor Kenway.
Yeah, Connor Kenway and the Greek
Ezio
class.
Auditore, the Frenzo.
Ezio, yeah. What's the Greek class called?
Is it Cassandra?
Cassandra, well done.
Okay.
3 out of 3 there, Reece. Well done. But no one on a Meta. If you're just a Meta, if you're someone you've just picked up a Meta Quest, you've not necessarily played those games. You don't know who those people are. Whereas you can bet that a huge chunk of the PlayStation audience have played those games, and people that own PSVR 2 headsets, by definition, are the PlayStation audience. So they will want it. People like me that were like, oh yeah, I love Assassin's Creed. I love these characters. I want to experience them in VR, and I love that. It's a bit like with how much I'm loving Call of the Mountain, because it's letting me see that world that I love in a whole new perspective, and I just get that deeper sense of understanding like what it's like to be in that world. And I could be getting that with this, but then they're not releasing it on
That's
it.
pretty much what I said to Alex when I played it when we did the Quest podcast thing. That was my exact same thing that I said, was being around the homestead from Assassin's Creed 2 in VR was like exploring this place that I've been around before. It was amazing. But again, I do wish it came to PSVR 2. I think I would prefer that in general.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope they port it and it does better there, and then it convinces them that there is a market. It's just you've got to. I've said myself. I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah.
Divs.
No exclusives, according to Laurie. That's what he wants.
There should not be timed exclusives. Fair enough if you must.
Yeah, timed is okay. I don't mind timed, but following exclusives.
Yeah, unless you are the platform holder making yourself a game, in which case you have to live with low sales because you're investing in your ecosystem and taking it off. But
you don't.
Well, yeah, it's just not bother.
Let's not get onto that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I hope Assassin's Creed does come to PSVR 2 at some point, and it sounds like Ubisoft want to get some money from it and stuff. And so, yeah, cool. Well, that's it for the news. What have we been playing, Reece? Let's start with you because you've been playing something that I started playing last week, and you've been playing a bit more of it. So let's check in again on how Dead Hook is doing because it's out now, I believe. And yeah, how are you finding it?
Loving it. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It's such a you game, Reece. We said that last week. This is the most Reece of Reece games.
it's Doom. It's so Doom inspired. It's like you can see it from a mile off, even from the first image. You can see it's Doom inspired, and I love the Doom games. So it is a very much me game. So much so that before it came to PSVR 2, I did actually buy this on the Quest, and I played it once and turned it off because the performance, the way it works, it had frame drops and things like that. So I was so excited.
Oh, you can't have that with.
Yeah, so excited to see it come to the PSVR 2, and yeah, it's the definite way to play that game. Like if you have both systems, play it on the PSVR2. It runs so smooth. The graphics look great. I mean, when I say great, they're not the best you're going to see on the headset, but they do look good.
I think they are nice and crisp, and it's got an art style, and it looks really nice because of it. It looks really good.
Oh no, when I say not the best in the headset, I mean it's not like Call of the Mountain standards. You're not going to get that, but what I'm trying to say, like they look good, but you're not going to get like your favourite rendering stuff like that. But when the instant improvement I noticed straight away from obviously playing on the Quest as playing on PlayStation, I literally loaded it. I went, oh wow, I can actually see the detail in his hands. Like I was just shocked by that.
And a little side note, I'm surprised Sony don't make more of a thing of that because, you can say, well, there's not many exclusives. You can say, well, there's loads of multi-platform games that are on Quest and PSVR2, and a lot of those run like absolute shite on Quest, and they run brilliantly on PSVR2. So, it's not exclusive, but it is by far the best way to play a lot of these games, and I think it should get more credit for that.
Not dogging on it on Quest. It still works on Quest, but you do notice frame drops and things like that. So, I did actually get someone ask me in my comments like, I want to get on board and get on my task at PSVR2 all the way. Do not.
And that's Quest 3 you're talking about as well. You've got
I played the Quest 3, but I don't know if they did a Quest 3 update. I don't know if it's still the Quest 2 version of the game. But you notice the frame drops. You notice the the textures being a bit bland.
And on a game like this, like frame drops are killer.
It was every time you would pull your hook into an enemy to smash into them. That's when you see the frame drop. So it's like you do this awesome thing, and then the frame drop. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you can't. You've got to have that kind
that's taking that thrill away from me. Whereas doing it on the PlayStation, I was like, "Yeah, this is great." Like,
you've got to have that rhythm to the combats, and it's got to have that rhythm, and the frame drops just interrupt that rhythm.
I mean, it is another roguelike, as we've mentioned.
It is a roguelike.
Laurie's favourite things, roguelikes, as you've heard, but it's one that has a very good loop to it. And I think one of my favourite features to this game is the way you upgrade Deadhook's abilities. The interactive upgrade system where you have to get resources when you run out on your runs. Then when you go back to the ship, you have to crush down your resources at the material stuff. You have to slide the jars across, put it in thick, sterilise it, and then inject it into your arm. And for me, it was just like, this is such an in-depth way for me to upgrade my character. Like, I loved it.
And they're permanent upgrades, aren't they?
Yeah, permanent upgrades. Then ones are like upgrades that you get in Synapse or something like that.
Yeah, so that's like for any good roguelike. If I'm going to play any roguelike, it has to have that. So I know that even if the run ends unfairly, or if I feel like it's been cut short, at least I've got some progression. That the next time, eventually, you will conquer this because you're going to keep getting stronger and stronger.
Exactly.
You'll get through to the next phase of the game and stuff. So
upgrade system. That's my favourite. Probably one of my favourite things.
Shout out for how good the voice acting is. The couple of characters at the start, they're really well done.
Whoever does Grace's voice, whoever does her voice, literally, you sincere. Like when she sounds like she really wants him to save her. Like you hear that in her voice.
It's really good.
It's definitely really good. Who done the voice acting?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. Like that should just be kind of taken it for granted because she sounds like a good actress. But there's been so many bad examples of stuff
VR
played.
is plagued with bad voice acting. Usually, it's one of the things
that really stood out for me. I was like, gosh, she's like really doing a good job there. She's very
you hear the emotion.
A lot. She's very like you must act. She really is dialing it up. But it's really well done.
And like the singing that she does every time you load up the game as well, she'll sing like a different song. It's noticed, and I've still not found out if there's some sort of story behind her singing these songs, or they're like songs that she used to sing to him, or I don't know. They've not really touched on it, but I also like that there is different things that she says to him, like, "Oh, do you remember our house?" And it kind of adds layer to the characters as well, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's nice that when you do those roguelikes, you get stories sort of doled out on each run and stuff, and it sort of layers on the story and stuff, which is, again, that's good, because I just hate that we just kind of repeating and banging your head against a brick wall without any kind of... Like it's kind of like the Hades approach, right? Where you get a bit of permanent upgrades, but you get an extra bit of story, so you don't mind dying because you think, I'm going to cash in all of these upgrades and I'm going to have a bit of an interesting story. And that's such a smart way to make a roguelike. There's things like Spelunky that doesn't do that, and you are just literally banging your head against a brick wall for it's like I'm just never going to get past this.
There is something like that on Quest on PSVR2 as well that I've noticed. Like there is a few roguelikes that just don't have a story to kind of make me carry on wanting to play, or certain enemies that bring fear to me that makes me go, oh, I don't want to come against that enemy again. Like the boss on this game, literally, I hate going against it just because of how difficult it is. Like that first time you come against it, you're just like, well, I'm dead.
You talking Deadhook?
Deadhook, yeah. So with that, literally the first boss you come against, like, and you get two lots of him. the beetle looking thing. I don't know what it's.
Yeah,
Guardian.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, he
that
totally
thing
kicked me
is
out straight away.
brutal. Yeah, I think I've got it down by 1 bar, and then it just killed me. It just gets so brutal to the point where you have to constantly keep upgrading. So it's a difficult roguelite, and there is difficulty levels in it as well. So like it starts off on easy, and I've not went to normal or hard, but even on easy, I'm getting my ass kicked. So
yeah, do we know how much this one is? Because this is, I think
I think it's on the store now. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, this is a good one to. I'd recommend this one to people. I think especially if you like that sort of
I definitely recommend
that
it.
frenetic FPS combat and those kind of finishes. I like the fact you can mix and match the combat. You can be quite creative and stuff, and that hook shot mechanism as well is a really cool traversal thing. You can just bounce around the arenas with that crazy.
It's fun. It's so much fun, and taking out your enemies with it as well. So it's $15.99.
Yeah, that's worth.
Great price.
That's good.
Absolutely
good price
great price. Yeah. So
yeah, well, I
definitely recommend that one. I'm
consider this the CBVR review, and it gets our stamp of approval.
Yeah. I've got a stamp of approval as well. Definitely loving it.
Cool. Well, I have also been playing. Alex, I've joined you in playing a bit of Border Bots as well. Which,
Brilliant.
yeah, I can see why you like this. It is very much, if you like the Papers, Please style games, this is a really well done one of that. And it's got a very charming sense of humour to it. It's really nice. I don't think when we talked about it before, I quite appreciated from what you were talking about. It's just kind of how silly it is, and the sense of humour. I really like it.
I mean, to the extent, like one of the funniest bits, and I clipped this, and I forgot I'd clipped it, and I found the clip the other day, and it was at the point where you maybe not got, but you've got like this little pet Hoover, and you talk to the Hoover, and the Hoover's stolen something, and then obviously you're trying to retrieve it from the Hoover, and it has to basically it insinuates that it has to poop it out. And that's like how, like, just from the stupid little stories like that, it's just so funny and endearing. Like, even you never find yourself like being quite like an endearing toaster or router or like these random little things.
I like it. The robots that come up to your desk and they just make like little snarky comments at you sometimes, or just like under their breath, like this is so demeaning, or this is so funny. It reminds me of like that robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like it's that kind of. I think, and it looks really nice as well. Like the graphics are really nice. And it's all very kind of simple art style, but it's really crisp. I was noticed, like
like the lighting and stuff on the robot bots and everything is excellent.
Yeah, the little holograms that pop out of your watch sometimes and stuff. I was just really getting up close to my face. I was like, that is a really crisp facial model of like these little people that pop up, the little holograms that talk to you and stuff. They're like amazingly crisp to look at. And the little robot, you got a little 3D printer in your little kiosk, and you can print print out the robot designs as well, and you pick those up, and you can really sort of look close at them and stuff. They're really, really nice to look at. Good game.
Probably worth mentioning, like the whole thing is voice acted as well, like in all the news reports and news bulletins and everything and all of that. Like it's really, really well done. And I didn't say it last week, but it absolutely gets a stamp of approval. Like no, and someone commented like when I put some stuff out about this, we posted last week, like, I can't believe people make games like this, and who would make a game like this, and this is absolutely not what PSVR 2 needs. I'm like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that PSVR 2 does not need a game like this, because anybody can enjoy a game like this, whether you like it or not. And I thought that was quite rude, to be honest.
It's worth noting over a comment like that Job Simulator is still one of the most downloaded PSVR 2 games, and that's from the PSVR 1 and Quest, and still to this day it's still one of the most downloaded games. Because it's silly, it's quirky, and it's for everyone. Yeah. And sometimes them type of games you do need. They're just a good laugh.
Yeah, I think these kind of Papers, Please style games, I mean, I don't know, the genre needs a better name, doesn't it, than Papers, Please? But
everyone keeps saying Papers, Please.
the way that you kind of, it is a kind of that repetitive task, and the way that it kind of layers on complications and stuff to it, it's something very... I don't know what it is. It's kind of quite therapeutic almost, where your brain just gets so like focused and absorbed in these tasks you're doing, and just time flies when you're playing it and stuff. It's so satisfying, especially then if it's entertaining you whilst it's doing it with the funny little quips and little silly things that it's doing all the time. But the actual core gameplay loop of because you've got all the bits in between the day and stuff, in between your shifts where you're going around your apartment and stuff, and then when you sit down to start work and you just start the day and you ring the bell to get the first one, you're like, right, I'm in the zone now, and you think I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. blast through them without making any mistakes, and the pressure ramps up, but you just kind of rise to it. And it's such a like that loop is just such a satisfying game mechanic, and it works really well in VR. The stamping, the haptic feedback you get when you stamp the little stamp to approve someone on their pad, it's so satisfying. I always get my little stamper, just stamping it all around the booth, and the little ticks all over my booth and stuff, because it's just really satisfying to stamp it. It just feels so real because you get just the right thump on the haptic when you're making contact with something that is so
is the same as
effect.
It is the same. I don't know how far you've got, but when you get all the different tools and stuff, like you get like the haptics all through it all are great. And it's like that a sense of satisfaction you get. Like there's certain bits where you maybe have to, like, you're competing against one of your colleagues in certain days, and it's about you getting a higher score than them, things like that, and you're like, you really feel like you're doing it. You do feel like genuinely like, I need to do a good job today, I need to get this right. And you're checking all your rules to make sure like you're spot on. You don't want to risk not being the number one person on that day.
Yeah, and I feel like Ben would like, because it reminded me of when we played the last Clockwinder, and he was saying, is this about AI? And the dev was like, well, no, not really. But in this game, it feels like it is all about AI and how everything's being automated, and we're sort of making ourselves obsolete, and then what we do with ourselves. And if it's this kind of world where robots do all the jobs, humans just sort of sit around and they're all bored twiddling their thumbs, and they're like, oh, it's a great honour. You're the first person in 20 years who's actually been given a job, and you're like, oh, great, I'm doing this job, and it's a really boring, monotonous job, although it's not really. It's kind of very silly and fun, but it's presented as like this kind of drudgery. You're just kind of stamping pads and stuff, but there's some comment there about what we're doing and what we're doing to ourselves, making ourselves obsolete, and whether that's the right way to go and stuff. So there is a deeper sort of almost satire to it as well, which I picked up on and I appreciate it as well.
I've not played it yet. I'm going to probably give it a go tonight as well. So
there we go.
I'm looking forward to trying it.
Cool. Right, we're going quite long here, so let's move on. And if people would like to support us, please give the podcast a sub on the service you're using and leave us a review too. And please follow us on Twitter at CrossButtonVR and at the Cross Players, or X if you want to be weird. If you really want to show the love, you can do so via patreon.com/the Cross Players. And for £2 a month, you can join that and join our little WhatsApp group where we have all sorts of fun. And shout out to, well, not really our sponsors, but if anyone out there who doesn't have perfect eyesight, you can check out VR Rock at vr-rock.com to get prescription lenses for any of your VR headsets. And yeah, you can use the code CBVR to get 10% off and free worldwide shipping. And we know a few people that have done this, and they're very, very pleased with their VR Rock lenses they get. So that's vr-rock.com. Cool. Right, we've got a few minutes left, so we're just going to do a very quick fire round. And this is a question, Reese, that you sent in and posed to us a while ago. We never got around to answering it, but we thought now that you're back on the show, we're going to ask. we're going to make you answer your own question.
Yeah.
And your question you suggested to us was: is there any game from PSVR 1, Quest, or PC VR that you would like ported to PSVR 2? And that comes from listener Games with T. That's yourself, Reese. Hey, I'm gonna. Well, Alex, I don't even know. You don't even need to have a go, Alex, because we know what you're going to say.
Wait. Now I'm here. I can say this. You're not allowed to say Astrobot.
Oh, that's not fair.
Because we know you're going to say it. So give us. Okay, so Astrobot, but then something else. If you couldn't get Astrobot, what else have you seen that goes?
See, I'd quite like the Iron Man games and stuff that they had in PSVR. Like, because I love like all that kind of original Marvel stuff. Like, I'd quite like to be able to play them. And I know I can play Quest, but I'd quite like it in PSVR too.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
just because I can't say Astrobot, I had to think of something off the top of my head. The other one, Rush of Blood.
Oh yes.
Rush of Blood. Okay.
100%. That needs to come over. But yes,
yeah,
Astrobot
it's funny
as
that.
well.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder if. Well, yeah, I don't know why. Don't know why they didn't.
It's a good
I'm
one.
surprised. So I am going to say Blood and Truth. I'm really surprised that hasn't. We haven't seen that. Why that's not around.
Good game. Great story. Yeah, that's a really fun one. So
yeah, I mean, how long does that one take?
What, to go through the story? Probably about 3 hours. It's not a long story, but it has a bit of replayability. And then they added more content later on as well, like the higher difficulty. I went through it a couple of times, got the platinum, but I had a lot of fun with it. It was kind of like, so I remember a couple of weeks ago you was mentioning VR Worlds. On that you had the Blood Diamond little tech demo, and that was pretty much the tech demo of Blood and Truth.
Yeah.
So similar voice acts and things like that. So it kind of went from that, but the story, it just made you feel like you was in this action movie. You was this soldier who was, coming home to see his family. It was such a good story. The missions were great. So I'd love them to bring it back, but maybe do 2 modes if they could, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could bring it back. They could do it like enhanced port, couldn't they? Probably with a roguelike mode added to it. Just because, why not? But, yeah, and I think the reason I picked up on this question, Reece, is that I think they're going into kind of year 2, and we'll talk about this more next week, but I just feel like if they're not going to make a load more, they're not going to put resources into making new exclusives. And to be fair, I can understand why they wouldn't want to do that. At the very least, they should be porting some of these games across.
Yeah.
Blood and Truth would just... I'm sure that you'd get PSVR 1 owners who would...
I'd play again in a heartbeat.
happily buy again, especially if it was enhanced foveated rendering, because you could probably do quite a significant graphical upgrade on it, because it probably looked pretty decent before, but now you can really sort of turn up all the dials on it. Yeah, so if we're talking PSVR 1 ports, that would be my main one. Outside of that, it's got to be Half-Life Alyx, right? That's the game.
Yeah, can't argue that.
Everyone else, have you played that one? Though?
I do
own it though.
You do own it. You've not played it. We were waiting for.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing a disservice there. You need to get on that.
I mean, I could probably write him off like about 30 games if that's the case. So
yeah.
I don't think they ever will come. I think Valve are quite content just to kind of leave it there. But it seems like it's not. If it was on Quest, I'd understand it. But that is such a like PC
just
VR
locked to PC, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that? Well, I don't know. It's probably I don't know how many PC VR players there are versus Quest and versus. I mean, there'd be probably a decent community, but it's still a niche of a niche. And I think if a game is that good, and it's Half-Life for Christ's sake, come on, they put Half-Life. Well, the rest of the Half-Life games came out everywhere, so why?
But they don't need to.
Why not? But exactly, I just feel like they don't. They made it because they had a headset they needed to push. But yeah, now they've kind of they don't need the money, do they? They've just got all the money they ever need. And so why worry about porting it? Just I don't know, keep it as a little exclusive special thing, which is a real shame. But especially when kind of Portal is on
Portal VR, just do it for me.
Oh god, man, that was so good.
Please.
We asked Ben this question, and his answer was wipe out the Omega Collection.
Good one.
Which, he says that, but there's no way he'd complete even a single race in that without being sick.
No,
so, careful what you wish for, Ben.
It made me nauseous the first time I played that. So,
see, makes me nauseous, and he's like some.
I haven't played it since, so that was the first time it came out on PSVR 1. And I played it. I was like, no.
And surely that would be an easy one, given it didn't even use the move controllers. That was purely Joe's. So
yeah, that's true. You've already got the buttons mapped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Wow. There you go. That's your answer. Reece, what was your answer?
So I would say Batman, just because the feeling of putting on the cowl for the first time in VR was, I don't know, it's a feeling that I still remember to this day. It felt really good. So that'd be for my PSVR 1 game.
That was the only game that was the only game I played on PSVR 1 before I returned the headset at the end of the weekend. I was just it's not good enough.
It was short. It wasn't long, so I think if they was to do something.
Like an hour.
Add more to it, but it was a tech demo, but it was something that I don't know. It just had moments that made me go, well, "Wow, this made me feel like the Batman." So
did Rocksteady did they make that?
Yeah, Rocksteady worked on it.
Yeah, they worked.
I don't know if they had any other team working on it, but Rocksteady was definitely on it. So yeah.
And again, if you've played those Arkham games and you play them in third person, playing this in first person, even just at the very beginning where you're in Wayne Manor and you tap on the piano and you go down the lift, it's like that's such
throwing
a
the batarangs and
that's such a moment, and that's cool. And even on PSVR 1, it was amazing. So you could do that on PSVR 2.
It looked good as well at the time, so definitely on PSVR 2. It looked great.
That would be cool.
It's the only game I've currently played in PC VR, and it does look very, very good.
Yeah, I just think people need to play that. And it wouldn't bother me if it's still just an hour or 2 hour long. I don't know, it's just that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, just price it accordingly. It doesn't matter how long it is, does it?
It's the feeling of putting on that cowl. I think people need to, any Batman fan needs to experience that and just go, wow, I feel like it just does all like the tech things. You see all the different things around you and inside of it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cool. So yeah, that's still stuck on there.
And as for Iron Man, that studio's owned by Meta now. They actually bought that studio, so
Yeah,
I don't know if that happened. But then again, like Meta, you've got all the money. You don't like. Surely it's in their interest to grow the medium and don't wall these games off. Like you might not need to do a PSVR2 port of Iron Man, but you might as well get more people playing the game, more people thinking VR's cool, more people showing their friends cool VR stuff, and maybe their friends will go out and buy a Quest because they don't want to buy a PSVR.
Exactly.
So, like, it would help. And, like, God, Zuckerberg, you're like the richest man on the planet, for Christ's sake. Just let me play Iron Man. Yeah.
Zuckerberg's Iron
No.
Man? But he's the richest man. Oh, okay, right, never mind.
No, he couldn't pull that one off. He's, not that cool a billionaire, sadly. Right, well, there you go. That's answered that question. Thanks, Reese, for coming on.
Good answers.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for posing the question. We'll have to do another question block again because they're always fun. We always get some good questions from that community. Right, everyone, I think that just about wraps things up. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you could please tell your family and your friends all about us. If you'd like to get more involved with the rest of our bunch of idiots, please don't hesitate to drop into our Discord and say hello. And lots of people are continuing to do so, and thank you to all those that are doing so. Last but not least, thank you to our patrons for supporting the work we do. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Reese and Alex, and we will see you again next time, though. Until then, it's goodbye.
You did that on purpose, didn't you? You fucker.